In the quaint village of Akwu, nestled between the rolling hills of southeastern Nigeria, a sense of unease settled over the residents like a dark cloud. It was a day that would be etched in the memories of the villagers for generations to come, the day Kayoma, a young and expectant mother, was unjustly accused of murdering her beloved husband, Obinna. The villagers, fueled by grief and misinformation, gathered at the village square, their faces twisted with anger and resentment. The elders, revered for their wisdom and authority, stood at the forefront, their eyes blazing with a fierce determination. "Kayoma, you have brought shame and misfortune upon our village," thundered the eldest elder, his voice like thunder on a stormy night. "Your husband's untimely death is a clear indication of your wickedness. You and your unborn child are no longer welcome here." Kayoma, her eyes wide with shock and fear, clutched her swollen belly as if to shield her unborn child from the cruelty of the villagers. She knew she was innocent, but the villagers' minds were made up. With a heavy heart, Kayoma gathered her belongings, a worn mat, a few clothes, and a small bag of food, and prepared to leave the only home she had ever known. Her daughter, Ebube, just a toddler, clung to her mother's skirt, sensing the turmoil that surrounded them. As they stepped out of the village, the scorching sun beat down on them, relentless in its intensity. Kayoma's contractions had begun, and she knew she had to find shelter soon. The dense forest that loomed before them seemed like their only option. With a deep breath, Kayoma steeled herself for the unknown dangers that lay ahead. She wrapped her arms around Ebube and stepped into the forest, the villagers' angry shouts and curses fading into the distance. As they ventured deeper into the forest, the silence was oppressive, punctuated only by the sounds of birds chirping and leaves rustling in the wind. Kayoma's contractions grew stronger, and she knew she couldn't walk much further. Suddenly, a faint cry echoed through the forest, sending shivers down Kayoma's spine. She looked around frantically, wondering if they were being stalked by a wild animal. But as the cry grew louder, she realized it was the sound of her own child, eager to enter the world. Kayoma's eyes widened in panic as she realized she was going into labor, alone and unaided in the heart of the forest. She looked down at Ebube, who gazed up at her with wide, frightened eyes. "Mama, what's happening?" Ebube whispered, her tiny voice trembling with fear. Kayoma forced a reassuring smile onto her face. "Don't worry, my dear. Mama's just going to have a baby. We'll be okay." But as the contractions intensified, Kayoma couldn't shake off the feeling that they were being watched, that unseen eyes were monitoring their every move. She glanced around nervously, but the forest seemed to stretch on forever, its secrets hidden behind a veil of leaves and shadows. And then, just as suddenly as it had begun, everything went black. Kayoma's weary body lay nestled against the trunk of a towering tree, her labored breathing a testament to the exhaustion that had consumed her. The scorching sun beat down relentlessly, draining what little strength she had left. Ebube, sensing her mother's distress, set out to find a source of water, her tiny feet pattering against the dry earth. As Ebube wandered deeper into the forest, the silence began to unnerve her. She had never been apart from her mother before, and the feeling of isolation was suffocating. Suddenly, the rustling of leaves caught her attention, and she spotted a clearing up ahead. In the center of the clearing stood an enormous tree, its branches twisted and gnarled with age. A small spring bubbled out from the base of the tree, its crystal-clear waters a welcome respite from the parching thirst. Ebube's eyes widened with excitement as she rushed toward the spring. But just as she was about to cup her hands and take a drink, a strange sensation washed over her. The air seemed to thicken, and the trees appeared to close in around her. Ebube's heart racing, she spun around, searching for the source of the disturbance. That was when she saw it, a faint, glowing light emanating from the spring. Without hesitation, Ebube turned and sprinted back toward her mother, the unsettling feeling lingering long after she left the clearing. But when she finally reached the tree where she had left Kayoma, her mother was nowhere to be found. Ebube's frantic search yielded nothing, no sign of Kayoma, no clothes, no belongings. It was as if she had vanished into thin air. Meanwhile, Kayoma had stumbled upon a dirt road, her cries for help echoing through the desolate landscape. Two travelers, passing by on foot, heard her pleas and rushed to her aid. They quickly assessed her condition and transported her to a nearby midwife. As the midwife tended to Kiama, she gave birth to a healthy baby girl. With her final breath, Kiama named her newborn Ann, a smile of peace and contentment on her face. The midwife, though saddened by Kiama's passing, vowed to care for Ann and ensure her safety. Unbeknownst to the mortals, the gods of the land had been watching Kiama's ordeal with great interest. They were displeased with the unjust treatment she had received at the hands of the villagers. In their divine wisdom, they decided to bestow a special gift upon Kiama's two daughters, Ebube and Ann. The gods imbued the sisters with extraordinary powers, each tailored to their unique personalities and strengths. Ebube, with her fearless and adventurous spirit, was granted the ability to communicate with nature and harness its energy. Ann, with her gentle and compassionate heart, was given the power to heal and protect. As the sisters grew, they would come to realize the full extent of their gifts and the incredible destiny that lay before them. But for now, they remained unaware of the extraordinary journey that awaited them, a journey that would take them to the farthest reaches of their world and beyond. Ebube spent several days in the forest, surviving on berries and stream water, until a hunter stumbled upon her. He took her in and brought her to his village, where he raised her as his own. For 14 years, Ebube grew up under his care, learning the ways of the village and developing her unique strength. However, as she entered adulthood, Ebube began to display a more aggressive side. Whenever someone crossed her, she would unleash her incredible strength, leaving her opponents battered and bruised. Her adoptive father, concerned about her behavior, sat her down for a heart-to-heart talk. "Ebube, my child, I know you're strong and capable, but fighting isn't the answer. You need to learn to control your temper," he advised. Ebube listened intently, knowing her father was right. But she couldn't help feeling that the world was against her, and that she needed to defend herself. Meanwhile, in a nearby village, Ann grew up unaware of her true identity. She possessed a remarkable gift, the ability to heal others with a mere touch. As news of her abilities spread, people began to seek her out for help. One day, a man named Okon was brought to her doorstep, injured from a fall from a palm tree. Ann breathed life into him, and he sneezed out the injury, completely healed. Despite the many gifts offered to her, Ann refused them all, content in the knowledge that she was making a difference. Ebube's life took a dramatic turn when she encountered a troublemaker named a Jew on her way to the farm. A Jew provoked her, and in the ensuing fight, Ebube unknowingly killed him. Horrified by her actions, her adoptive father urged her to flee the village. Ebube returned to the forest, seeking solace in the spot where her mother had left her. She spent her days in quiet contemplation, trying to make sense of her troubled past. One market day, Ebube ventured back to the stream to fetch water. As she approached the water's edge, she encountered a group of men who warned her away. "Didn't you know that no woman is allowed near the stream today?" one of them growled. Ebube's instincts told her to be cautious, but her curiosity got the better of her. What was happening at the stream, and why were women forbidden from approaching? As the men closed in, Ebube's warning turned to a fierce determination. "Don't take another step," she growled, her fists clenched. But they ignored her, and Ebube's temper flared. With lightning-quick reflexes, she took down the men, her strength and agility leaving them battered and bruised. The men fled to Ann, who had been watching the scene unfold. Ann approached Ebube, her voice calm and soothing. "Why do you fight so much, Ebube?" she asked. But Ebube's stubbornness got the better of her, and she refused to listen. In the ensuing struggle, Ebube was captured and bound. As she was dragged away, she began to sing a haunting melody about her mother. Ann, who had been walking alongside, felt an inexplicable pang in her heart. The song awakened a deep connection within her, and she felt an overwhelming urge to free Ebube. Without thinking, Ann reached out and touched Ebube's bonds, and they dissolved instantly. Ebube, sensing her chance, broke free and ran into the nearby woods. Days passed, and the villagers of Ease arrived at Aku village, seeking to cause trouble. Ann, who had been watching from the sidelines, stepped forward and commanded them to leave. But they refused, and Ann was forced to use her powers to defend her home. The guards, awestruck by Ann's abilities, rushed to report the incident to the king. The elders, seeking to exploit the situation, suggested that they enlist Ebube's help to defeat Ann. Ebube's adoptive father was summoned, and he was tasked with finding Ebube and convincing her to fight Ann. After a long search, he finally found Ebube and explained the situation. Ebube, still grappling with her past, agreed to fight. The king, eager to exploit Ebube's strength, promised to reward her with his son Emeka's hand in marriage if she emerged victorious. Ebube, tempted by the promise, agreed to the terms. The stage was set for a battle between the two sisters, each with their unique gifts and abilities. As Ebube arrived at the farm, she spotted Ann, her eyes flashing with determination. The battle was about to begin. The battle raged on, with Ann's powers surprisingly ineffective against Ebube. But Ebube possessed her own unique abilities, ones that didn't rely on combat. As the fight intensified, Ann found herself on the brink of defeat. Just as all hope seemed lost, Ann's father arrived with a renowned native doctor. The doctor's healing powers revived Ann, and she was rushed back to her village to recover. Meanwhile, the king of E's village welcomed Ebube to his palace, reiterating his promise of marriage to his son Emeka. But the king's curiosity got the better of him, and he began to inquire about Ann's mysterious powers. "Who is she?" the king asked his elders. "Who are her parents, and how did she come to possess such abilities?" An elderly villager stepped forward, sharing a long-forgotten tale. Ann was found alongside her pregnant mother, Kayoma, he explained. "I helped deliver the baby, and we took them in." The king's puzzlement deepened. But how did Ann and Ebube develop these extraordinary powers, he pressed. Ann was summoned to the palace, where she was questioned about her abilities. However, she couldn't provide any answers. The elderly villager was asked to repeat his story, and as Ann listened, she felt an overwhelming urge to uncover the truth. Rushing back to her village, Ann sought out answers. A gentle lady, a close friend of Ann's late mother, approached her and revealed a shocking secret. "Come with me, Ann," she said, leading Ann to her late father's house. Ann's adopted father, sensing her desperation for answers, finally revealed the truth. "Your mother, Kayoma, told me everything before she passed away," he explained. "She was banished from our village and left Ebube in the forest to seek help. I searched for Ebube after Kayoma's passing, but I couldn't find her." As news of Ann's true identity spread, Ebube learned that Ann was, in fact, her long-lost sister. Ebube rushed to Akwu village, eager to reunite with Ann. The moment the sisters met, their mother, Kayoma, appeared before them. "The gods were displeased with my banishment," Kayoma explained, her voice filled with joy. "They blessed and gifted you both with magical powers. I'm overjoyed to see you reunited as sisters." As the sisters embraced, their bond grew stronger, and their powers began to resonate with each other. A new chapter in their lives had begun, one filled with magic, adventure, and the unbreakable bond of sisterhood.